Learning to write effective letters is not a lost art in the workplace. In fact, it's a skill that you need to be successful in business. Let's take a look at guidelines for writing business letters. Letters are among the most important writing you will do on the job. To write effective letters, you need to identify and analyze your audience to meet their needs, clearly establish your purpose, formulate your message, and select the appropriate style and tone to the reader to be friendly and persuasive. A professional-looking letter is one of the most significant symbols in the business world for the following reasons. Letters represent your company's public image and your competence. A firm's corporate image is on the line when it sends a letter. Its name and logo will appear on the company letterhead. Carefully written letters create goodwill and make a positive impression on readers. Poorly written letters can anger customers, cost your company business, and project an unfavorable image of yourself. Letters constitute an official legal record of an agreement. They state, modify, or respond to a business commitment. A signed letter constitutes a legally binding contract. They provide legal evidence when there is a dispute over a business matter. Letters also provide a reference, a stable record for any problems that come up. Be absolutely sure what you put in a letter about prices, guarantees, warranties, equipment, delivery dates, and other issues is absolutely accurate. Your readers can hold you and your organization accountable for such written commitments. Unlike emails, many businesses require that letters be routed through channels before they're sent out. Because they convey how a company looks and what it offers to its customers, letters often need to be approved by your boss and others in the company. Depending on the content, a company's legal, finance, human resources, purchasing, planning, or IT departments may need to review and authorize a business letter. Letters are more substantial and secure than emails. They're a vital record of the company's business and provide a documented hard copy and paper trail that's easy and detailed to understand and follow, unlike emails sometimes. Letters are often logged in, filed, and bear a handwritten, authorized signature. A letter is the official and expected medium through which important hard copy documents and enclosures, like contracts, specifications, and proposals, are sent to readers. Letters often convey official changes in policy or organization, accompany key materials submitted to outside vendors, partners, or companies, or notify customers about adjustments to their account. Because readers receive far fewer letters than emails, letters often get higher priority. Readers tend to pay more attention to them. A letter commands attention because of its formal elements. It is a physical, tangible document where an email can be missed or confused with spam. All the physical components of the letter, the envelope, letterhead, stationery, mailing labels, and so on, convey a far different impression than a simple email. Letters are far more personable than emails or other e-communication. They're addressed to a specific person whose name and address are typed on the envelope. Letters, moreover, show readers that the writer has taken time to send them a personalized message. Unlike an email, which might be sent to hundreds of individuals, a letter shows specific customer appreciation. A letter is still the most formal and approved way to conduct important business with many international audiences. A hard copy letter is confidential. Emails can be sent over the internet, which is far less secure than letters, which come sealed with a stamped envelope. Unlike an email, which can be easily opened, copied, deleted, and resent, a letter is more permanent and more likely to be delivered only to the proper recipient and less likely to be forwarded unintentionally. Sending a hard copy letter continues to be the most formal way to communicate with your audience. Letter format refers to the way your letter looks on the page, whether in print or on screen, where you indent and where you place certain kinds of information. The most formal, preferred, and frequently used business letter format in the world of work is the full block, but you should be familiar with the modified and the semi-block formats. Let's take a look at each. In the full block format, as you see here, all information is flush against the left margin, double-spaced between paragraphs. Many employers prefer this format when the letter is on letterhead stationery. In a modified block format as shown here, the writer's address, if it's not imprinted on the letterhead, the date, and the complimentary close and the signature are positioned at the center point and keyed towards the right side of the letter. The date aligns with the complimentary close. The inside address, the salutation, and the body of the letter are flush against the left margin. The semi-block format shown here looks just like the modified block format in terms of aligning the date in the complementary close with signature and any key enclosures at the center point of the letter. But the paragraphs in the semi-block format are always indented 5 to 7 spaces, using a tab in your word processing software. A letter is an indispensable tool of communication in business, and strong formatting will increase goodwill and perform a variety of other business functions. The parts and their placement in your letter form the basic conventions of effective letter writing. Readers look for certain information in key places. The parts of a letter discussed in the following sections will appear in every letter you write. This figure is a sample letter containing all the parts that we'll discuss. Note where each part is placed in the letter as we talk about each. The heading of the letter will be either your company's letterhead or your full return address. Next is the date line. Try to leave 4 lines below the letterhead before the date line. Spell out the name of the full month, like September or March, rather than an abbreviation. The date line is usually keyboarded in this way, November 11, 2016. Next is the inside address. The inside address, the address of the recipient, is always placed against the left margin, 2 lines below the date line. It contains the name, title, if any, company, street address, city, state, and zip code of the person to whom you're writing. Single space the inside address and do not use any punctuation at the end of the lines. Always try to write to a specific person rather than just a sales manager or president. To find out the person's name, check previous correspondence, email lists, or the company's individual website, or call the company to see who to address the person. Next is the salutation. 2 spaces below the inside address includes your salutation or greeting. Begin with the reader's last name, unless you're on a first name basis, and a colon. As an example, Dear Mr. Brown. Never use a comma in a formal letter. Avoid the sexist Dear Sir, Gentleman, or Dear Madam, and instead, Ladies and Gentlemen, or Dear Sir or Madam. The body of your letter, 2 spaces after the salutation, contains your message. Some of your letters will only be a few lines long, while others may extend to 3 or 4 paragraphs. Keep your sentences concise and try to hold your paragraphs to less than 7 lines. A close or complementary close is 2 lines below the last line of your message and is the equivalent of a formal goodbye. For most business correspondence, use one of these standard closes: sincerely, respectfully, sincerely yours, best, and so on. Capitalize only the first letter of the first word. Next is your signature. Allow 4 spaces between the complementary closed and your typed name and title so that your signature will not look squeezed in. Always sign your name in black ink. An unsigned letter indicates carelessness or worse, indifference towards your reader. A stamped signature tells reader that you could not give them personal attention. Some organizations prefer using the company name along with the employee's name in the signature section. If so, type the company name in capital letters, 2 line spaces below the complementary close, and then sign your name. The enclosure line informs the reader that additional materials, like a brochure, diagram, form, contract, or proposal, accompany your letter. Enclose only the items necessary and indicate enclosures with the number of enclosures on the line. The abbreviation CC, 2 C's followed by a colon, informs the reader that a copy of your letter has been sent to 1 or more individuals. Letters are copied and sent to third parties for 2 reasons: to document a paper trail and to indicate that other readers need the information contained in the letter. Unless your employer instructs you otherwise, tell your reader if other readers receive a copy of your letter. The way your letter looks can determine how readers will respond to your message. Here are some tips on how to format and produce professional-looking letters. If you're printing your letter, use a high-quality printer and check ink or toner cartridges to avoid fuzzy, faint, or messy-looking letters. Stay away from fancy fonts and scripts. Use business-like Times New Roman or Arial fonts. Consider using templates to help format and design your letters. Most word processing programs such as Microsoft Word or Google Docs have them. Some organizations, however, may prefer not to use a template. Always check with your organization before you start writing letters. Leave generous margins of at least 1 to 1¼ inches around all of your message. For a short letter, don't expand your margins to 2 inches or increase the font size, which will only make your letter look unprofessional. Leave double line spaces between key parts of your letter, the date line, the salutation, copy notation, and enclosure, but leave 4 lines between the letterhead and the date, as well as the complimentary close and the typed signature. Never try to squeeze a handwritten signature in. Single space within each paragraph, but double space between paragraphs. The white space enhances the professional look of your letter and makes it easier to read. Avoid crowding too much text on one page. Squeezing too many characters on a line by using overly small fonts will make your letter look cramped and hard to read. Also, don't cram a long letter into one page. Instead, allow your reader to flow to a second page. Be careful about lopsided letters. Don't start a brief letter at the top of the page and then leave the lower 3/4 blank. Begin a short message near the center of the page. Use Print Preview to see an image of your letter before you print a hard copy or create a digital version of it, so that you can make any necessary changes or corrections. Never print over your company's letterhead or any addresses or company logos printed across the bottom or top of the letter. A standard business letter can be divided into an introduction, a body, a conclusion, each section representing or clarifying a specific issue for your recipient. The first part of You Attitude is putting yourself in the reader's position. What kind of communications do you like to receive? To send such an effective communication, adopt You Attitude. In other words, signal to readers that they and their needs are of utmost importance. Incorporating the You Attitude means that you should be able to answer yes to these 2 questions. Will my readers receive a positive image of me, and have I chosen my words to convey both my respect for the readers and my concern for their questions and comments? The first question deals with your overall view of the reader. The second question concerns the language and tone conveying your message to the reader. As you draft and revise your work, pay special attention to the following guidelines for making a good impression on your reader using You Attitude. Never forget that your reader is a real person. Avoid writing cold, impersonal letters that sound as if they were clinical reports or voicemail instructions. Let the readers know you are writing to them as individuals. Don't be afraid of using you in letters. Readers will feel more friendly towards you and your message. Keep the reader in the forefront of your letter. Make sure the reader's needs control the tone, message, and organization of your letter, the essence of You Attitude. Stress the you, not the I or the we. Be courteous and tactful. When you capture your reader's goodwill, the rewards will be great. The following negative words can leave a bad taste in the reader's mouth. It's defective, I demand, I insist, we reject, that's no excuse for, totally unacceptable, unprofessional, and your failure. Don't sound pompous or bureaucratic. Write to your readers if you are carrying on a professional conversation. The You Attitude, a writing style and philosophy, places the reader's interest foremost in your writing. It's based on the principle that readers are more concerned about their own needs than they are about yours. After emails, letters are the most frequent type of communication you're likely to have with an international audience. It would be impossible to provide information about how to write letters to each international audience. There are at least 5,000 major languages representing diverse ethnic and cultural communities around the globe. But here are some of the most important culturally sensitive questions you need to ask about writing to readers whose cultures are different from yours. What is your relationship to the reader? How should you format and address your letter? How should you begin and conclude your letter? What types and amounts of information will you have to give? And what is the most appropriate tone to use? The following guidelines will help you communicate more successfully with an international audience and significantly reduce the chances of your readers misunderstanding you. Use common, easily understood vocabulary. Write in basic, simplified English. Choose words that are widely understood. Whenever you have a choice, use the simpler word. Keep your sentences simple and easy to understand. Short, direct sentences will cause a reader whose native language is not English the least amount of trouble. A good rule of thumb is that the shorter and less complicated your sentences, the easier and clearer they will be for a reader to process. Avoid ambiguity. Words that have double meanings force non-native readers to wonder which one you mean. Such misinterpretations are likely because most bilingual dictionaries list only a few meanings. Be especially careful of using synonyms just to vary your word choice. Be careful about technical vocabulary. While a reader who's a non-native speaker may be more familiar with technical terms than in other words in English, make sure that technical words or phrases you include are widely known and not a word or phrase used only at your office. Watch expressions. Idioisms are the most difficult part of language for an audience of non-native speakers to master. Delete sports or gambling metaphors. These metaphors, which are often rooted in US popular culture, do not translate word for non-native speakers and can interfere with your communication. Don't use unfamiliar abbreviations, acronyms, or contractions. Watch for units of measure. Don't fall into the cultural trap of assuming that your reader measures distances in miles or feet as an example. Avoid culture-bound descriptions of place. For example, when you tell a reader in Hong Kong about the Sun Belt or a potential client in Africa about the Big Easy, will he or she understand what you're talking about? Use appropriate salutations, complimentary closes, and signature lines. Find out how individuals in the recipient's culture are formally addressed in a salutation. You may feel you already have many of the secrets of better business writing at your fingertips, but writing for an international audience can require a new set of rules.